Synth Story starts right now.
Am I overreacting? My husband's work wife turned out to be a teenager and he doesn't seem to understand why I'm upset. Original post, January 2nd, 2026. I have been married to my husband, 43 male, for over 10 years. We have a normal, healthy relationship. No cheating, hiding phones, etc. He is a chef for an organization / not a restaurant, so he works normal-ish hours, usually 12 to 8. In telling me about his day at work, he will casually mention the names of people I don't know, but have come to know about through his work stories. One of these people is a lady we'll call Sarah. I had gotten the gist that Sarah is a younger woman that is just starting out in her culinary career, and my husband has sort of taken her under his wing, which I thought was cool. She would text him during non-work hours about regular friend stuff, asking how our daughter's birthday party was, how our new cat was doing. I was happy he was taking this young lady under his wing, as I know how kitchens can be for women. I jokingly referred to her as his work wife a few times, just kidding with him about how often he mentioned her. I had zero suspicion about cheating, just thought she was a female friend and coworker. My husband recently put in his 2 weeks at that organization and has only been working part-time there to help them in the transition, while also working at a new place that seems much less chaotic. He's super happy at the new spot. His last day of work was last week, and it also happened to fall on the day of the previous job's Christmas party. I went with him to the party like I normally do, and I got to meet Sarah. She seemed like a sweet girl, clearly knew he was married, asked me about some treats she had made and sent home with him recently that I got to try. She mentioned that she cried earlier that day because he wouldn't be there anymore and she would have to work with the other crazies without him, to which I responded that she should try to apply at his new job because it seems a lot less stressful. She said that she was planning on it, but couldn't until she turns 18 in 2 years. The girl is 16. I was taken aback. I thought about the friendly texts, referring to her as his work wife, etc. I knew she was young, but not that she was a child. On the way home, I sort of confronted my husband about it. I asked him if he knew she was 16, yes, and why he didn't mention it. Didn't seem important. He seemed hurt that I was calling out that behavior as inappropriate on his part. I absolutely don't think that anything sexual was going on, which he seems to think that is the issue, but I am genuinely concerned that he doesn't see how inappropriate it is to be friends with a 16-year-old girl. We have a 7-year-old daughter, and I asked him how he would feel if when she was 16, he found out that she had been texting her 40-plus-year-old male boss after work hours just to chat. He said that he didn't see an issue as long as it wasn't sexual or anything. I told him that he needed to not have any contact with Sarah anymore, and he got defensive and said that he didn't even have any reason to contact her because they didn't work together anymore, but I shouldn't accuse him of being a predator just because he was being nice to her. I tried to explain that I know that he wasn't being a creep, but anyone who didn't know him well, or her parents, would see their friendship as inappropriate. He showed me where he deleted her contact and off Facebook at my request, but he's being standoffish as though I'm making a big deal out of nothing. Am I overreacting? Edit, just to clarify some things that keep getting mentioned in comments, he never referred to her as his work wife. I am the only one who said that, and I definitely would not have had I known her age. Yes, I get how the term work wife is weird. I never suspected my husband of any kind of inappropriate relationship with Sarah, and made sure when we were talking about the situation that he knew this. I didn't accuse him of being a predator or grooming her or anything like that. He didn't act inappropriately to her in any way. The confrontation was about how it looks to other people, and how I would think anyone would react to a man his age having a friendship with a child that he no longer has a working relationship with. Update, January 3rd, 2026, same post, next day. I have read all of the comments and appreciate them and took them into consideration. The issue was gnawing at me, so husband and I had a lengthy conversation this morning. I apologized for my knee-jerk reaction and for automatically assuming that people would think the worst. We discussed some things that were brought up here, mostly about how it was my own embarrassment for sexualizing the relationship with the work-wife comments. Rest assured I will never use that term again. Truly had no idea that the phrase was such an ick for people, but that he should have mentioned that she was a kid the first time I said it. He said that he thought that I already knew that she was still in high school, and he thought I was just poking fun at him because I thought a kid a crush on him at work. I asked him how I would know that without him telling me directly, and he brought up that I had asked him who she was when she liked a pic I had tagged him in on FB. It was a pic of some food that looked amazing. I posted it to my FB because I was proud of him. She liked the post, and I generally know his friends who like his tagged pics, so I said, "Hey, who's this?" And he said, "Oh, that's Sarah from work." And that was it. He had assumed that I had done some digging, and I didn't, so I had no idea. I also tried to explain to him that it was awesome that he was her mentor, tried to use this term a lot because it was mentioned in the comments often, and that I wish I had that when I was younger, but that many people's experience with older male coworkers were not good, mine included, and that people might have the same immediate reaction that I did. I apologized for projecting my bad experiences into this situation. His response was that he had no interest in being anyone's mentor, especially someone he would have to mentor outside of work. He said that he just felt protective of her, like some people have mentioned, and he would want someone to take care of our daughter too if she finds herself in his line of work. He said that she alluded to not having a great family, and that she absolutely loved our daughter. She's been into his job a couple of times when he had to take her to get a deposit/do a grocery run on his days off, and had told him she could babysit if we ever needed her to. He said that she had taken an interest in me as well because he had mentioned what I do for a living. I work in the music industry, and was always asking what bands I get to see. He said that in his mind, he knew that this girl could benefit from having stable adults in her life, and that he had intended to keep the line of communication in hopes that she could reach out to him/us if she needed anything now that they didn't work together anymore. I was so ashamed reading the comments, and especially when he said that my reaction to the situation was to cut communication because of how it looks, and not realizing that this girl may be latching onto him because she needed someone like my husband. We came to the conclusion that we were both sort of in the wrong due to both of us just assuming things, me assuming that she was an adult, him assuming I knew she was a kid. He admitted that he didn't once think about how it may look that she texted him, because he knew that it was innocent, but in the future he would loop in another adult when she contacted him just so nothing gets misconstrued. I apologized for assuming that other people would assume the worst. He's a great guy. All is well.
Am I the a-hole if I cancel hubby's birthday plans and leave the house leaving hubby to host his family for my birthday? Original January 5th, 2026, I only have 4 days to make a decision. I have been going back and forth trying to decide if I should cancel my husband's birthday reservations I made for him at this really cool indoor golf place, followed by reservations for dinner. He's always commented on wanting to try both, and I thought it would make a nice gift. His birthday is only a few days after mine. For Christmas, he legit took the time to buy and wrap me a box of diapers for our daughter in the next size up and presented it to me as my gift. I'm still angry about that. No, gag gifts for Christmas has never been a thing between us. Last year, he got me a spatula, and I thought this year he would do better after the falling out we had over the spatula. A little bit of background info. Our daughter is now 2 months old, and we have been working on replacing the floor and painting our home since before she was born, with the goal of having it done before she can crawl. Over the summer, he did the nursery floor, and in the fall, a week before she was born, he did the flooring in our older son's room. Mind you, the flooring was given to us for free from my dad, and my dad bought my husband his own miter saw for Christmas to get the job done, so we would no longer have to borrow his. I do all the painting. This past week, as we have been clearing things out of our bedroom for me to do the painting and him the flooring, he brought up my birthday. He said, "Wow, all this work for your birthday gift." I said, "Excuse me, what gift?" He said, "All the work of putting the flooring in our bedroom. But don't worry, I'll still do a dinner for you, and we can invite your mom and my family. What do you want me to cook?" I said, "I would like to just have a quiet birthday dinner. You, me, and the kids at Longhorn Steakhouse, come home and watch a movie together. Also, the flooring is not my gift. This is something we've been planning now for a year. And with the house torn up, I don't want to host anyone in our home, especially after having hosted for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Besides, we don't even have a place for people to sit. We have all the bedroom furniture and our clothing in the living room. I'm currently sleeping on the mattress on the floor in here. Plus, I'm not a fan of your brother coming over, so you two can sit and just drink beer all evening while I watch Our and his kids." He said, "No, I'm going to cook at home. Just tell me what you want me to cook." I said, "Okay, I want to do steak, mashed potatoes, and green beans." But there's a problem here. He can't make mashed potatoes to save his life and only likes green beans if they're boiled. I like fresh green beans slowly sauteed with olive oil, garlic, and herbs. So if I want it cooked this way, I will have to do it. He said, "No, we're not doing steak. It will cost too much if the family comes over. I'll just do a chicken." I lost it. I said again, for MY birthday. I did not want people over. He kept arguing the issue, and I said, "Fine, do what you want for my birthday." Side note, last year, he ordered the traditional tres leches cake, but he ordered it with peaches. I hate peaches. He likes peaches. I like strawberries. Plus, my name was spelled wrong on the birthday cake. He thought it was hilarious. I am now seriously considering canceling his B-Day golf outing and dinner reservations, leaving home if he invites his family for my birthday, buying him a box of diaper wipes, and presenting it with a card that says, "Happy Birthday. I painted the house for you. Would I be the asshole?" Comment by OOP. About 2 weeks after Christmas last year, when I had time relaxed, I asked him for a genuine answer about the spatula as a gift and what the hell he was thinking. He said that he was at the store and saw that it was blue, the type of blue I like, and he thought of me and thought that it would match the utensil holder and our blue microwave that I found in the store one day and geeked over. He said he thought I would like it because of the pretty blue color. That's about as deep as the thought went. He said that he never thought the gift would be sexist or imply that I had to do more cooking for him to make up for the spatula. Though he did go out and buy me the KitchenAid stand-up mixer I had my eye on for over 2 years. I was really happy about it until he said, "So when are you going to make me some homemade bead?" We had to talk about never, ever buying kitchen appliances for someone as a gift unless directly asked for. That kitchen things used by the whole family is not a gift for one person. When I am no longer angry about the diapers, I'll be able to calmly ask him, after the 2024 Christmas spatula debacle, what the hell were you thinking gifting me diapers 2025? I mean, hell, I'm thinking if this is how it's going to be, we might just make it a pact to buy each other practical gifts for the home. No more disappointment that way. Update January 5th, 2026, same day later birthday plans. I have since logged in and canceled his birthday golf outing and dinner reservations for next week. Tomorrow is my birthday and his day off work, so he will be watching baby as I have also booked myself for a 90-minute massage. After that, I will be stopping by Starbucks for my favorite drink and 1 hour of uninterrupted time with my new book that my son got me for Christmas. Then I will be picking him up from school and taking him to go see a movie. I will round off the day by coming home, taking a long hot bubble bath, ordering DoorDash, and ending my day holding baby girl. That sounds like an amazing birthday to me. For him, I will just be getting him a card that reads, "Happy birthday. I painted the house for you." The bag will contain a case of diaper wipes. If he looks disappointed, I will just tell him I canceled the golf outing and dinner reservations and instead go this bulk pack of wipes, the perfect gift to accompany the box of diapers you got me for Christmas. He will get the message. Divorce. As for the people advocating for divorce, kicking him to the curb, leaving with the kids in the middle of the night, claiming that he isn't a good husband to me and father to our baby, please know that you only got one little glimpse into our life. He is a loving and caring father to our children. We struggled with infertility for a very long time, so this baby was a surprise, but a welcomed blessing. Every day I prayed to not miscarry and even feared death during labor as my pregnancy was high risk. He took a month off of work to care for me as I recovered from 3-degree tearing and a bruised tailbone. Every night he does the nighttime routine. Bath, pajamas, story time, and rocks baby girl to sleep. While he does that, I do the house reset. Dishes, garbage, sweep. He wakes with me for all her feedings and prioritizes my sleep over his to make sure that I am rested enough to care for our daughter during the day. This is the same man who, during pregnancy, cooked me breakfast every morning and massaged my feet every night. Before he leaves for work every day, he will make sure I have time to self-care, shower, brush my teeth, eat breakfast, and pump before handing me the baby if she's awake. Then he will make sure I am happy on the couch with baby girl and anything I could need before he leaves: blanket, remote, water cup, my phone charger, a clean binky, and bottle for baby. As soon as he gets home from work, he will take her and give me 30 minutes to myself before we start talking dinner plans. We make a good team when it comes to daily life. I don't have to make him lists of things to do. I like that when we're low on milk, he will just pick it up on his way home without having to be asked, and he doesn't wait for a thank you. Like he did me some big favor the way I have seen other men seek gratitude for doing basic tasks. He sucks at gift giving, and this year and last year. So yes, I will be doing nothing for him for his birthday. Despite the shitty thoughtless gift and non-birthday plans, I will be holding off on kicking him out and just matching his energy for his birthday. For Christmas 2026, I think I will get him an IKEA toddler bed to assemble for our daughter and call it a day. Update January 2nd, 6th, 2026, 1 day later birthday update. Yesterday was my birthday. Hubby surprised me with breakfast out at my favorite local spot, and we did a Home Depot run for more flooring. After that, I did go for my massage. It was wonderful, and I did stop at Starbucks for my free birthday drink. I didn't have time to sit and read before I had to pick my boy from school, but that's okay. Instead of going to see a movie at the theater, we came home and began a Harry Potter movie marathon. I love Harry Potter. However, my son, without my knowing, had texted my dad and my best friend to come over and surprise me with a visit. He didn't know that I had already had my best friend and her niece scheduled to come over to look through a pile of clothes before I took a large haul to donate at the Salvation Army. It was so much fun watching her niece try on dresses. We wrapped up the night with some pizza and cheesy bread. Hubby surprised me with a little gift: 2 new books, a pack of my favorite cookies, and a squishy niffler that I can add to my Harry Potter bookshelf. Overall, I had a great day.
Am I the a-hole for kicking my best friend and her boyfriend out of my house? AITAH mentioned they were coming from a state over 18 hours away. Important to know when further reading. My boyfriend, now fiancé, have been living together for a little over a year. We got pregnant in late 2024. In the summer of 2025, I was approximate 30 weeks pregnant with my son. I was already having some issues with my pregnancy. Especially severe pain if I was standing too long, usually 45 minutes to an hour. This is important to know. My best friend and her boyfriend were in a bad situation back at his home, and we decided to let them move in with us for a little bit. With some rules. 1. When the baby comes, we need our space back. It's a huge adjustment as new parents. 2. Clean up after yourselves, you're adults. 3. Make sure you pay rent, a small amount. Not much, $250 a month combined. Our mortgage is over $1,500. 4. Get a job. I thought these were reasonable and they agreed. They moved in shortly after. Everything was okay for about 1 to 2 weeks and then it went downhill. Her boyfriend kept walking around the house in just his underwear, showing not respect for me or my now fiancé. We both asked plenty of times to stop, and he never did. They were constantly arguing and fighting. All the time. They ended up screaming at each other and slamming doors a handful of those times. Even in the middle of the night as my fiancé and I were trying to sleep since he had work in the AM. Then the messes started. Stove would be left on if I left house, our table and chairs would be sitting in the center of our kitchen after they moved them. They'd leave pots and pans and all these dishes either in their room or directly next to an empty sink. Not in the sink. The stove would be atrocious. They rinsed their full bowls of food in the sink and clogged it. Clothes and mop buckets would be left out. They'd mix dirty dishes with clean dishes when they decide to use the dishwasher. I, at this point was in mid-30 weeks pregnant, was constantly cleaning up after them. Putting myself in extreme pain to the point I started bleeding and puking. To the ER I went. Me and baby were fine, thankfully. I talked to them multiple times about this. It never got fixed. They never got jobs, they never paid anything. They were intimate numerous times and left stains and their mess and toys in plain sight in our bathroom. My mom and siblings were here for a little bit too, with the youngest being 10-year-old. Eventually I told my fiancé BC I couldn't do it anymore. He told them it had to stop or they'd have to leave. Newsflash, still didn't stop. I went into labor. In the hospital for 5 days after delivery due to hypertension, high blood pressure. She texted me asking where I went. I said I was having my son and we'd be home in a few days. Please remember the expectation I set before you guys came. I come home and they're still here. The kitchen was wrecked. I started crying and freaking out because it was disgusting and I knew I'd have to clean it. My fiancé took care of all of that while he was on paternity leave. Yay, we kept telling them it's time to go. You've had 6 weeks to figure this out. Then my fiancé went back to work. And the messes started again. So here I am, freshly postpartum, still healing and bleeding, and breastfeeding, trying to take care of myself, blood pressure, and my new son. I was still cleaning the messes up. I'd be breastfeeding and her boyfriend would walk downstairs and say, EW, cover yourself up, that's gross. Then I freaked out. Called my fiancé and said they had to leave. Now. My blood pressure was through the roof, deadly levels. We all sat down that night and told them they had to go or we'd be going to the authorities. They finally left. At 3 a.m. the following morning. She was pissed at me. Telling me how could a best friend do this to another? Leave them homeless. And on the streets. So am I the a-hole for kicking them out because they were literally gonna kill me from my blood pressure and making it super difficult for a heavily pregnant girl to live life?
Am I the a-hole for cutting off my sister financially after finding out her unemployed boyfriend is benefiting from my money? Throwaway account. My sister, 23 female, works as a cashier and earns barely above the minimum wage in our state, so I, 30 male, have been supporting her financially. I pay half her rent and her utilities and regularly send extra money for things like groceries or hair appointments or whatever she needs money for. I never really minded because I earn about 4 times what she does. About 5 months ago, she started asking for money much more often. She always had a reason and I sent her money without question because I want her to feel I will always help her out. Then last week, I ran into her at a club with a guy, Jake, 27 male, she introduced as her boyfriend. When I asked how long they had been together, she said a few months, which surprised me since I knew nothing about it. She got evasive and annoyed when I asked her more questions. That made me uneasy. I just wanted to make sure my sister was with someone decent, you know? So I called one of her friends the next day and asked about Jake. The friend didn't have a high opinion of Jake. She told me Jake has been basically unemployed for over 2 years because he can't keep a job. He moved in with my sister 4 months ago after they had only been dating for a month. He stays home while my sister goes to work and isn't really doing much to get a job. I knew nothing about this. I have been paying rent for an apartment he lives in without contributing anything. I also realized that my sister's increased requests for money lined up with when he moved in with her, which means most of it has probably been going to him. I confronted my sister about it. She said she didn't tell me about the relationship because it was still developing. I told her I would stop covering half the rent going forward since she now has a roommate who should pay the other half. I will still pay the utilities, but I am cutting back on any extra cash. She got upset and asked how she was supposed to manage on her income. I pointed out that she now has a partner. Surely he can subsidize. She told me he does not have a job. I responded that maybe it was time he got serious about finding one. I made it clear I didn't trust the guy. Someone being comfortable depending on her so early in a relationship felt like he was taking advantage. She accused me of being judgmental, saying he is just going through a rough patch and needs her support until he can get back up. She also accused me of trying to control her life because I help her out financially and I have no right to meddle in her personal life. We have not spoken in days and now I feel conflicted. I genuinely believe he is using her and she's using my support to enable it. I am not trying to control her life, but don't like her being taken advantage of. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Apparently people are shocked that I give her so much support. My sister and I got closer following the death of our parents a few years ago and I've taken care of her since. I've never minded until now. But perhaps it's time she learns to find her own footing.
Am I the a-hole / would I be the a-hole if I break up with my boyfriend after I've violated his privacy? Trigger warning. Mentions of SA and R. Word sorry in advance for any bad formatting. I'm on mobile. Throwaway account for privacy reasons, and also because he uses Reddit. I, 19 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 19 male, for almost 3 years. We started dating in our junior year of high school and have continued dating through college. From the first few months of our relationship, I was upfront with my boyfriend about how I was SA'd and almost R-worded in the 8th grade by my then boyfriend. We'll call him Pred. I had told him my boyfriend, Pred's first and last name, showed him a photo of Pred, and told him in detail my fear and the experience I had. I told him that Pred went to our high school, and that I avoid him when I can because of the fear I still have of him, even years later. My boyfriend was empathetic and always understood my apprehension behind intimacy because of my past experience, and I was really grateful for that. Fast forward to earlier this week. I was with some friends, and the topic of Instagram followings came up. We were joking around about what we would do if it turned out that our boyfriends followed a bunch of Instagram / of models. And as a result, one of my friends pulled up my boyfriend's Instagram to test him. She skimmed through his following and stopped smiling, turning the phone to me, and showing me that my boyfriend was following Pred. My heart sank, but I brushed it off, making excuses like, he probably doesn't even know it's him. I went home that night panicking, not being sure if it was a mistake or not. I tried not to let it bother me for a few days, but it lingered in the back of my mind. I finally caved in and unblocked Pred on Instagram, looking at his page, and I felt sick to my stomach. I saw multiple photos up on Pred's Instagram of my boyfriend and him posed next to each other, smiling like they were best buddies. It seemed like they became close because they had shared friends and they met through the different parties they went to. I don't like partying, so I never attended these functions with my boyfriend since he enjoys going with his friend group. I felt so extremely betrayed that not only would my boyfriend hang out with the one man I told him about, but also not mention it to me at all. It almost felt like he was hiding it on purpose because he knew what he was doing was wrong. Yesterday, I worked up the courage to talk to my boyfriend about it over the phone. When I brought it up though, he became extremely upset with me. Something that I had never seen before, because I would allow my friends to violate his privacy like that. I told him that I understand that I shouldn't have let them go through his following, but it felt like he was hiding his relationship with Pred from me. I told my boyfriend that it hurt to see that he would choose a guy that he didn't even know previously to me telling him about my SA over the woman he's supposed to love. He told me that when they met, he didn't know that that was the same Pred I mentioned. Later on when he learned though, he asked Pred about it and Pred admitted that was him. The straw that broke the camel's back for me was that my boyfriend then told me that from what he heard, Pred seemed like he was really sorry. So my boyfriend decided to look past it. I told my boyfriend that it's not his place to forgive people who SA'd me in the past. Plus, Pred never apologized to me directly. I was sobbing on the phone the entire time, and after a while, my boyfriend just said, I don't know what to tell you to make you feel better. I told him I'll talk to him about it when I'm ready. I haven't spoken to him since that conversation. I understand why he was upset about my friends going through his following, but I just feel like the two problems aren't on the same scale of wrongness. I've been seriously rethinking our entire relationship over this, and I need to know if I would be in the wrong to end things after I was the one who crossed a boundary, although unspoken, to begin with. Would I be the a-hole? Too long. Didn't read. My friends looked through my boyfriend's following list and found that he was following the man who SA'd me. I found out they had been friends for a few months and brought it up, and he told me that it was an invasion of his privacy.
Am I the a-hole for declining guardianship of my sister? I, 27 male, emotionally lost my mom when I was a teenager. And when I was 15, my stepfather died after a long illness. Less than a month later, my mom moved on fast new relationship, rushed marriage, and then a baby girl. Everything happened so quickly that I felt completely pushed aside. I stayed quiet, finished school, and the moment I turned 18, I moved out and cut contact entirely. Over the years, some relatives kept trying to push the idea that I should have a relationship with my half-sister. I was always clear that I didn't want that. I didn't hate her, I just didn't want any connection to that part of my life. About 2 years ago, when I was 25, my family decided to get creative. They told my best friend about the situation and convinced her it might be healing for me. She invited me to what I thought was a normal dinner. When I arrived, my half-sister was there. I felt betrayed and I didn't make a scene, but afterward I told my friend that putting me in that position wasn't fair to me or the kid. I explained that forcing a relationship wouldn't magically make me want one, and honestly, it wasn't healthy for anyone. That was the last time I allowed anything like that. And a couple months ago, things fell apart on my mom's side. There were some bad addiction issues that finally led to child services getting involved. Her husband ended up going to jail, and my mom lost custody because she wasn't able to provide a stable environment. Their daughter was placed with different relatives temporarily, but no one wanted to take her in long term. That's when my name came up. I didn't hesitate to say no. Repeatedly. I warned my family that if they kept pushing, I'd cut contact completely. Eventually, the girl entered foster care. A caseworker later reached out to ask if I'd reconsider becoming her guardian or even have contact. I declined and asked not to receive updates or have my information shared. My family did not take that well. I got messages calling me heartless, selfish, and cruel. They asked how I could live with myself, whether I felt guilty, and if I worried I was throwing away my sister. I was honest, I don't want one. They even asked if I'd be okay knowing she might be mistreated in foster care. I told them that if they were that concerned, they were free to step up themselves instead of pressuring me. After that, I blocked everyone. A weird cousin later confronted me in public after following me for so long one day. While I was out with friends, he accused me of being cold and abandoning family. I left early to avoid scene. And gladly I did, because if I stayed, I would have beat the shit out of him. Here's the thing. I could have taken her in. I have a stable job, a small but decent place, and a spare room. I could have made it work. I just don't want to. I don't think forcing myself into a role I never wanted would be good for either of us. So, am I the a-hole here?
My mother died saving a 10-year-old child's life. I wish she let the kid die. My mom died saving a child's life, and I hate myself for thinking this, but I wish she had just let the kid die. Everyone keeps telling me how heroic she was. How selfless. How she's a saint. Strangers tell me how proud I must be. And maybe one day I will be. But right now, I'm just angry and broken and 27 years old without the only parent I ever had. I never knew my dad. My mom was my entire world. She was the only parent I had, the only constant in my life. Now she's gone, and everyone else wants me to focus on how meaningful her death was instead of how devastating it is for me. She won't be at my wedding. She won't meet my kids if I have them. I won't hear her voice again or get her advice or feel like someone in the world knows me the way she did. All of that is gone forever. And yes, a child is alive because of what she did. I understand that. I know how it sounds. But that child isn't my child. That family isn't my family. I don't know them. I wish my mother was alive instead. I wish she saved herself instead of a kid whose own parents weren't watching them during the incident, being vague for privacy. I don't care that kid is alive. I want my mom back.
Am I the jerk for refusing to remove the lock I put on my son's door after my wife's nephew kept taking his stuff? My wife's sister lost her apartment a while back and moved in with us along with her son, who is 17. My son is 15. They never really hung out before, but I figured they'd get along fine sharing the house. The problem started almost immediately. Her nephew has no concept of boundaries. He walks into my son's room whenever he wants and takes things. Video games. Headphones. Chargers. Even money once. My son complained multiple times and I talked to the kid about it, but nothing changed. My wife and her sister kept brushing it off, saying they're boys and this is just what they do. They'll figure it out. I disagreed. The final straw was when my son saved up for weeks to buy a limited edition controller he really wanted. It wasn't cheap. A few days after he got it, the nephew took it without asking and broke it. Said it slipped. Didn't even apologize properly. My son was crushed. I went and got a lock for his door. When my wife's sister and her son saw it, they were offended. She said I was treating her son like a criminal. That borrowing stuff between boys living together is normal. That my son shouldn't have expensive things if he can't share. She even said I was spoiling him and creating bad habits. My wife took her side. Said I embarrassed her family by putting a lock on the door and demanded I take it off. I told her the lock stays until her sister and nephew are out of our house. She got upset and said I was threatening to kick them out. I reminded her that I was the one who agreed to let them stay in the first place when no one else in her family would. Her own parents said no. Her brother said no. I said yes. And now I'm being treated like the bad guy for protecting my son's space. I just want my kid to feel safe in his own room. Am I the jerk?
Am I the a-hole for having my stepdad walk me down the aisle instead of my father? My parents divorced when I was 6 years old. I was their only kid together. At first they both loved me, but when they both got remarried, things changed with my dad. His wife had a son who was my age, and he immediately became my dad's favorite kid, and I was pushed to the side. And I was pushed away even more when they had kids of their own. He'd still pay child support and take me on his weeks, but it always felt like I was just a burden on him and his least favorite kid. Meanwhile, my mom got married to my stepdad, who also had a son of his own, but he always treated me like a daughter, and he was always there for me when my dad couldn't care less about me. So I started going to him whenever I actually needed my dad instead of going to my father. He was the one I went to after getting my first heartbreak, and he was the one I went to when I was sexually assaulted. My father doesn't even know that about me, and I doubt he'd even care I was hurt like that. I've now been with my fiancé for 6 years, and he's the love of my life, and we're getting married this April. Yesterday, my father came to visit me and my fiancé from out of nowhere. He just called me and said he was in the area and he'd love to see me, and I said sure. He came to our house, and it was him and his youngest son, who's 15. He started congratulating us on getting engaged, since this is the first time we saw him since getting engaged, and he was talking about the wedding, and he was joking whether he should start a diet or if he looks good to walk me down the aisle. I just said sorry, but that. My stepdad was walking me down. He looked shocked and hurt and asked why. And I just said that he's always been more of a dad to me than him. He asked if he'd have any part in the wedding, and I said I'd give him an honorary father-daughter dance, which is more than gracious to him, and other than that he'd just be a normal guest. He was hurt and kept asking if I could include him more. I got uncomfortable, and eventually I just asked them to leave, and they left. He looked so hurt. Now I'm doubting myself. Am I being too hard on him? Am I in the wrong here? Honestly, some part of me still loves my father, and I miss him so much at times, but those times get fewer and fewer every single year. I do believe some part of him does love me, because sometimes he'd turn into the best dad for a minute every few years, and he'd do something nice for me, but he was never consistent and never was like how he was with half-siblings with me. It hurts so much. Am I the asshole here?
And upset we wouldn't turn off cameras for family member on parole. Pretty much like the title says. We were hosting a big family party at our home for the January birthdays. One cousin who wanted to attend since her birthday is this month and is recently paroled didn't think she'd get permission to cross state lines in time to attend. Not sure what the process is, but knowing her, it's more likely that she just didn't want to take proper steps rather than it actually being a timeline issue. Her mom calls us up and says that since her paroled daughter would be attending, of course we would need to be sure all cameras were turned off the entire day and that no one would post photos of my cousin. Of course, I told her we wouldn't be turning off any cameras for her nor asking anyone not to take or post photos of her. I also stated that she really should just stay home since it sounds like she would be doing something illegal. Well, cousin and her mom go behind my back and tell everyone that they couldn't post photos of cousin at the party and that we had agreed to this. I found out and informed everyone that she was flat out lying. Cousin proceeds to show up at the party anyway and sits outside waiting for the confirmation that we had turned off all cameras that day. I never responded to the text, but they were constantly calling other family members in attendance. Someone told her that she was probably on cameras from the drive-in anyway. My aunt and my cousin eventually left and have been texting me nasty messages that I've been ignoring. I've been told they've also been posting vague passive insults on social media. It's amazing how someone expects everyone else to bend over backwards to accommodate their, probably, criminal activity. Edit to add, we have a doorbell camera plus several outdoor and a couple indoor security cameras. My aunt and cousin wanted me and my husband to turn off the doorbell and security cameras at our home. I don't post personal photos to any social media sites. I have family members who are in attendance that do post personal pics on social media several times a day.
Thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe.